guys, it's Kesara, and today I'm going to be doing my review for The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. So this book is such a fantastic high fantasy debut. I absolutely loved it. It's an Asian-inspired high fantasy novel that's set in a world that is ruled by an emperor who practices bone shard magic, which means he creates these constructs which are basically the people that serve him, but they're created out of animal parts and fueled by bones of people who live in his empire. It has such a really interesting magic system that is kind of gruesome in certain ways, and it has four main character point of views. One of them is Lin, who is the emperor's daughter. Then we have Renami, who is the daughter of one of the governors, Jovis, who is a smuggler, sort of, and then Sand, who is kind of mysterious and we're not sure what's going on with her plotline, but we do find out eventually. I really enjoyed this book. It had everything that I look for in a fantasy book. It had great complex politics, it has fantastic world building with a really interesting magic system, it had fantastic characters that I absolutely loved, and it had some really great reveals that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 4.25 stars, and like with all of my reviews, I'm gonna break this up into 4 parts: character, plot, world building, and writing. So we're gonna start with character. Of course, we have to talk about our 4 main point of view characters because they are all fantastic. I loved all of them. I will say that Lin's point of view tended to like take more of my attention than the other characters, and I didn't care about the other characters as much, to the point where like there was a point in this book where I was just like, I kind of wish it was only from Lin's point of view. But when it all comes together at the end, I completely understand why there are other characters in this book. But Lin, for example, was fantastic. I absolutely loved her entire character arc. It's really interesting at the beginning, especially because she's kind of been told like that she had this sickness and she's lost her memories, so she's trying to get her memories back, but she has competition for who's going to be the next emperor because there's also Bayan, which is her father's foster son, who also lost his memories, but he is ahead of her in the sense that he's gotten more memories back than her. So there's like this like interesting competition between them, which is really fun, that I really liked. And then we have Jovis, who is like a smuggler and he pretends that he's only in it for the money, but he's like actually a good person, and I like that. And I'm gonna be honest, we didn't get enough of Sand in this story to really like love her or hate her, but based off the ending of her plotline, I'm really excited for her point of view in the next book in this series, because I'm fairly certain there's gonna be a next book in this series. And lastly, we have Renami, and honestly, her plotline was the least interesting to me. It was very much a romance plotline, which I thought was fine, but I really felt like it was maybe a little unrealistic, but overall, I did like all of the characters. So now we're gonna talk about plot. So plot-wise, I really enjoyed this story, like absolutely loved it. But I feel like in some cases, the plotline was a little unrealistic, specifically Renami's plotline felt a little unrealistic. Jovis's plotline felt a little too easy, like if that makes sense. Like it came together a little too easily, like almost like you could tell there was someone putting the pieces together in a certain order. Lin's plotline though was absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. My only complaint with her plotline is I figured out some of the twists in her plotline way before she did. So there were times where I'm just like, Lin, come on, like it's just so obvious, you should know this by now. It was good. It was really good, and I'm really excited to see what happens with her storyline in the next book. Oh, and Sand's plotline. Sand's plotline, I didn't care for Sand until the very last chapter. That very last chapter though was absolutely fantastic, and it makes me really excited for the next book. Next, I'm gonna talk about world building, and I think world building is where this book really shines because the magic system is so well done. I absolutely love the magic system, and the culture that this book depicts is really well done as well. It's definitely picking like a more ancient, like medieval sort of, like almost like a historical Chinese culture. Like I won't say it's specifically that, but it has that just vibe to it and that atmosphere to it that really works for me. So I absolutely love the world building in this book. And lastly, we gotta talk about writing style, and I did love the writing style. Like this book kept me reading the entire time. I really enjoyed it. My only thing is I feel like the overall plot structure was a little too obvious at times, and sometimes was a little bit unrealistic, like I said before, especially with Renami's plotline. I think it's just the way the reveals were done and how it was revealed. I personally like figuring out things at the same time the character realizes it, or like right before the character's realizing it, especially if it's like a really big reveal. And there were some really big reveals that are like game changers, but I figured them out generally quite a bit before the characters realized it. And because of that, it kind of really annoyed me. I feel like it was a little too obvious at times, but but I still really enjoyed this book, and like I said, I ended up giving it 4.25 stars. I'm really excited to continue on with this series. So that's all I have for you guys. Let me know down in the comments if you've read this book, because I'd love to discuss with you guys. I post videos on Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so consider subscribing. And if you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload, you can click that little bell icon. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.